We have Pablo's Corner with us. A bit back, I was talking to an individual, not Pablo actually to start off with, but an individual who's sending me screenshots for a Mario 64 beta project. The official name is the Mario 64 Spaceworld 95 project. Now, sorry, I just wanted to make sure that I got the year right, because I didn't want to say it and then be like, oh, it was 96, you know, or like it was 94, you know, but it's basically a beta project based off of the Spaceworld 95 trailer, right? So they're trying to mimic what it was pre-release. So just so everybody has kind of an idea of, oh, you might be able to hear my kid in the background. He went, just so everyone has an idea, this is kind of like what it was looking like. So you can see that color palettes are different, HUD is different, you know, a lot of the models that were 3D were 2D, like Power Stars were very 2D, you know, so the health is different up here, right?
That
penguin was just a derp
really derpy.
Yeah. I think, I don't know if it's in this trailer, but I think it was the 95, whoopsie, there he goes. It was the 1995 trailer that showed the triple jump.
The trailer isn't even consistent. Like, look right, you've got the power here.
Yeah.
And it's kind of still in that Trivial Pursuit.
Yeah.
And then here it's like a clock.
Yeah.
It's not even consistent with it.
Well, yeah, look at that as a matter of fact, too. Look, it's not colorful here. I never noticed that before, Richie. That's actually a really good point. But, like, it's colorful right here. Where did it go? It's coming up. See?
Yeah.
It's colorful. Then it's... Hang on. Coming up again. Come on, you. The clock dial there, and then I guess the underwater, which is somewhere around here, is the not colorful. Here we go.
Well,
right.
We could be doing this for a while.
Yeah, exactly. There's lots of different things. Clearly, they took a bunch of different builds and were just like, hey, let's just make a trailer. But that's, you know, what we're looking at here. So the idea here is to take the aesthetic, take some of the aspects. I think that, for example, the triple jump in the 95 version was different. I know at least when we did our beta quest, we noticed that instead of jump, jump, flipping jump, he did jump, jump, spin, which you can check out our beta quest video. Shameless plug for info on that. But wanted to welcome Pablo. Pablo, are you with us?
Yeah.
Awesome.
What's up, guys?
Hey, thank you so much for joining us, and
yeah, no problem.
Make sure that your levels are good here. Yep, I think we're toasty warm. So, in your own words, I know we kind of went over it ourselves, but tell me a little bit about, first off, what this project is. Secondarily, when did it start? I know that you guys have been working for at least a little while on it, and you know some of the goals. Just give me the rundown of this.
So basically the purpose of this project is to sort of recreate the demo that was playable in the Shinkai 1995 show, where you're able to go into the castle, play a couple of different levels, and you know it was like a demo. It was showing what Super Mario 64 was at that time, and we wanted to recreate that experience. And the reason why we specifically chose this demo over like any other build of the game was because there's just simply much more knowledge of like this build in particular. Like we kind of know like practically every stage that's in this build.
Okay.
And I mean, yeah, I guess that's just really it.
So
to sort of just give everyone that knows, well, it's like to give people that weren't there. I mean, especially myself, I was never there. But from all the information that's currently out there, we're trying to like sort of piece together and sort of just recreate this. Recreate the experience for everyone to, I guess, like try out.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about your role in the project. Because when we were talking on Discord, I thought this was particularly interesting for a reason that, like, well, I'll explain in a minute. Tell me a little bit about your role in the project.
Yeah, so my role in particular is to kind of like oversee like how everyone's doing and to also get like hands on. Like if I need to like
my son really likes that, by the way. He's screaming your praises in the background. He's like, oh,
he loves
You know.
See, even he likes the Mario 64.
Yeah, exactly.
beta.
You know, what's so funny is because before this, just so the audience knows, we were playing around with the noise that we could help. So like getting rid of like background noise on our end, on Pablo's
Right.
end, adjusting things, you know, this and that. But there's some noise we can't help, which is just like a kid in the background who needs to go to bed, going, "Ah!" You know what I mean? So I do apologize.
Your
to you and
child
our
loves
audience.
to raise the roof.
He's raising the roof. He's raising something. But anyway, sorry to interrupt. Go on about your.
It's all right. It's all right.
Yeah.
So yeah, like if I need to open up Blender to model, or whatever, or to get Audacity or whatever to do some sounds, which I have done, I'll do that too. So I'm
Okay.
kind of like both like managing and like sort of like helping out, like hands-on.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
What type of hands-on stuff do you usually
Um,
get involved with?
like sometimes I'll like help out with the modeling, or I'll do like the sound, because like the like the beta had different, like completely different sounds for Mario, especially. Like he had a bunch of like placeholder sounds or whatever.
Oh, okay.
So we would have to sort of like find those sounds and like put them back in the game.
Okay.
And like some other sound effects too were pretty different.
It's just screaming in the background.
Yeah, so I mean that's pretty much what I would do. And we do have some other like talented like modders on like project too. Like most of them are like modeling or doing research to like see what was in it. And we're like we're doing all that to recreate the experience.
Oh my god, I'm so sorry. My kid's just like.
It's okay.
He's not
okay.
screaming because he's upset. He's like just like ah, like oh my
Yeah.
god. I tried to soundproof this room, but it just doesn't work. But the reason why I was going to mention that I found it so interesting what you did is that we've talked about a lot of different like kind of community projects, modding projects in the past, and like mostly Zelda actually. So this is one of our first foray into something that's more Mario oriented in terms of like a community project, but
Yeah.
a lot of them really fall apart because of lack of management, right? Because it's just one guy, or it's like a group of guys, and something happens where it's like the one guy has, where's my hand? Here we go. The one guy has like all of the files and nobody else has access, and then the one guy's like, well, college is tough, or like my girlfriend dumped me, or whatever, and so I'm so apathetic, and then they just like, it's gone, I deleted it. So but I mean that isn't really more bad management, that's just sort of a bad situation in general, but a lot of times you have like people who are not, they don't know how to function together, especially on a project it's not truly, it's a work, but it's not work like you're getting paid, right? So it's like
it's all volunteer work.
It becomes a difficult situation because I think people can often kind of go astray when it's volunteer work, So it's nice to be able to see a project with a like a structure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the reason why I said earlier that like it seems like oh well, obviously like of course it should have a structure, but I mean a lot of these projects, they're labors of love, and a lot of them don't have structure. So when Pablo told me this on Discord, I was like, well, goddamn, like this thing might get done. I was so happy about it.
Maybe we should do some of these
Some
fan
comments.
questions.
Yeah,
since,
there's been a number of them. Let's
Pablo
jump into
doesn't
those.
have access to any of the.
Sure. Yeah. Let's dive in.
All right.
Sincerely, Vince has been asking if there's anybody on the project that actually has been to that Spaceworld show and maybe had some hands-on experience with the demo.
I'd probably say no. Probably because we didn't exist yet, or or we weren't in Japan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm 19 years old, so there's no way I would have been able to actually been there.
Right.
But
yeah, I think he was just
if it was
curious.
around, then I totally would have. I would have loved to have gone.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that
of
would have
course.
been cool.
Well, you hear about all these old shows, and it's like it was such a selective group that even got to go.
Yeah, right. It was mostly like press.
Yeah,
that got to go.
So nowadays, it's like, especially in the Zelda modding community, and it's probably the same, for you guys. Every time there's a new like half-second snippet of some Zelda 64 beta footage, like recorded with a VHS camcorder off of a CRT television at a trade show. Like, people lose their minds because they're like, oh my god, like, you know, the Temple of Time originally, when you went into the courtyard, it was mirrored like it is in the Master Quest version of 3D. Oh,
Yeah.
you know.
I think I found some rust on the Master Sword.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's like, you know, there are these little snippets. You know, we wish we were there. I mean, like, to be one of the guys that played the Earthbound 64 demo. You know, you have like maybe like 100 people in the world, you know, that did it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Okay, let's jump into some more of these questions here. Rich, did you see anything else that you wanted to?
There was another. I feel like there was another.
Okay, how will you be able to do the stages only from the videos that show only parts of the total? So I guess that means both the stages that you don't see and the parts of the stage that you don't see. Is there? I'm assuming there's some creative license and imagination going into that.
Yeah. So this was something that I've been thinking about, like, I guess ever since we started doing this, because I'd say for most of the levels, like, you've pretty much seen everything, like, to it. But there's some other levels where it's like, oh, there's not enough footage of this, so it's like we kind of have to figure out a way to get around that issue. Like I would say the level we're gonna have the most challenge with is the snow level, or the, you know, what eventually became Cool Mountain, because it's like the only extensive footage of it. Like, you do see a lot of the level, but there's also a lot of it that you don't see, so that's gonna be a little difficult. And we're definitely gonna have to put a lot of like creative liberties into like sort of imagining what it could have been like. And that's something we'll eventually figure out when we cross that bridge.
Okay. Now, I had a question for you I was thinking about the other day, because I remember when I played the Mario 64 remake for the DS, you know, they had really, it was a great remake. They really expanded on it. They added new playable characters. They added new levels. They did all this stuff. And there was a theory going around at the time. I don't know if it's been debunked since then, but, you know, they said it was possible that, you know, some of these levels were originally cut content, and that they brought them back. Or, of course, that could be totally wrong, and it was just all completely new stuff that they brought in, you know, because they wanted to expand on the DS version. What is your thoughts on that? Do you think that, I don't know if you played the DS version, but have you heard that theory? Do you think that some of that stuff might be cut content? If so, is there any way that you think about utilizing it, or are you strictly sticking to trailer footage?
At this current moment, we've been mostly sticking to like just whatever we saw in the trailers or videos of that particular demo. I mean, if there was any like cut content that like, actually there is some cut content that was also used in the demo. Like, for example, some dialogue that was, or like for example, one thing I can think of is the in the demo when you press the start button, you'll see like a text box that's kind of like a stage select screen, and you're able to like choose like a level you want to go to. That's actually still in the Japanese, like the final release of the Japanese version of Super Mario 64.
Yeah, I think it's actually still in the like there's a debug menu where you can choose your levels, and like what we showed in our beta restoration as well. You just type in a code, and it has like that early screenshot, or the early not screenshot, the early splash screen when you load it up, which is the same splash screen they used for the Mario 64 N64 disc drive.
That the memory's coming back.
Yeah, because it was just like that plain flat, and then they just had the sort of flatter looking, which is interesting that they took that beta version and used it for the N64 disc drive version as well. But I guess they're just like, oh, we have this on file. I suppose we'll just use
we
this.
might as well use it.
So I have a question for you from Melon Speedruns. Actually, funny thing is, oh boy, do you know Melon?
Yeah, I do know Melon.
Oh man, he's intimidated. Oh man, Melon's a heavy hitter, man. You better answer this right.
All right,
I'm just kidding.
Bring it on.
Watermelons are large fruit.
They are large fruits, but you don't know if he's a
like
watermelon, although he seems
you know
like
what I
he
mean?
is. So, Watermelon Speedruns. We actually asked a question on our Discord that I'll be getting to later, as a matter of fact. He says, so Pablo, I've got a question for you. How do you think this project will differentiate itself from other beta restorations, not just related to Super Mario 64, but for other games like Ocarina of Time?
Honestly, I can't really say that, like, I don't even know how to answer. Like, honestly, like, I can at least say within, like, beta restorations made for this particular one, like, you know, for the Shoshinkai or just any beta version, like, and I was actually going to get to this, like, there's been a lot of other attempts before to, like, make the beta. And I'd say the most notable one was from Duda. His name was Duda, and he posted a lot of like video previews back, like I think in 2012, right?
I
So,
think I remember that. I'm not 100%
yeah.
sure, but I think I remember something akin to that. That's probably the same thing.
Yeah. So like, but if you go to his channel now, it's like he really hasn't like uploaded much since. And I'm not saying that the project is dead or whatever.
It's
But
probably
it's like
dead.
we haven't really gotten any, updates since. Like some people have said that he's still working on it, or, but like we don't really know for sure until he makes a new video. But in the meantime, it's like, hey, like, like I was talking to Mario Nova, and I was like, hey, like, why don't we give it a shot? Why don't we try to make our own version of it? And like at first, when when it was just the two of us, like we were originally gonna go for like a more stylized version of it that like sort of balanced the aesthetic and the accuracy. If that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah.
And once we merged our project with another group of people that were also working on it, we decided to mainly just make it like just based on how accurate it looked.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, sorry if that doesn't necessarily answer the question, but I guess that would be our difference in, I guess, how other people have tried it.
Yeah, and I would say that that's a significant difference, because I can't think of any, like, with like all of the Ocarina of Time stuff we've done with like beta questing and things like that. Most of the projects have been like trying to recreate an unreleased project, as opposed
Like
to
an
trying to like
Oh, Melon's
roll the
satisfied.
clock back to an earlier
A lot of
build almost.
Yeah, some of the newer ones, like Chris Cube and Melon, are working on one that is like very alpha build oriented. But you're
Okay.
right, a lot of the ones before that were like, okay, here's a like Aeroblast did a number of them that were like really well designed. That was like, okay, here's a dungeon that we think could have been in Urizelda, and I'm gonna just build out this dungeon, that kind of stuff. So yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of both, but okay. So I was gonna go over some of these screenshots that were sent over to me here.
Just let me know which one you're looking at so I can,
Yeah.
see what you're looking at.
Yeah, so Mario Nova sent this over to me, which is another individual working on the project. I'm going to start with the one that I labeled 1.
Okay.
That's always a
Wild one.
fine place to start.
What you're seeing here is not the trailer that we showed earlier. This is their work so far. So obviously we have Mario, we have a different HUD, the Power Star looks different. Just kind of walk us through, tell me what I'm looking at here. Tell us what we're looking at here.
All right, so basically what you're looking at is, this is after Mario beats Bowser in the only Bowser fight, because there was only one. And instead of like getting like a key to go to the basement or whatever, you just get the giant star. And in that version, a bunch of coins would like sort of appear. And actually, if you look really closely in the final game, when Bowser like when he blows up. Like you'll see a bunch of like coins actually like kind of like exploding, but like you don't really see them on the floor. What I'm thinking was that was sort of like a remnant of that feature.
Oh,
that was
okay.
I'll have to check that out the next time I
the Shinkai demo.
punch Bowser.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Punching Bowser sounds like sort of like a masturbatory thing. I'm gonna go home, punch Bowser.
You've been ruined by all the Bowsette memes.
Yeah,
Tony.
exactly, right? Oh my
But yeah,
goodness.
so that's basically what this is. You're just Mario beats Bowser, gets the star. Ooh.
That's good.
Yeah.
I like, and we're gonna get to some of these later ones too. I kind of like the color palette a lot.
It is cool.
Yeah.
these. Let's go ahead and switch over to the one that I creatively titled Number 2.
Damn.
Now,
You're a fountain of creativity, Tony.
Thank you. I appreciate you saying that. Now, this image here is like modeled after like sort of has a direct correlation to the trailer, because there's like a moment where he's looking up at these thwomps and it's like this exact angle, this low angle he's the camera's punched in, that kind of thing. Tell us what we're looking at here.
All right, so this screenshot is actually a recreation of one of the shots from the Super Mario 64 like one of the early trailers for the game, where like Mario's like in first person and he's just looking up at the thwomp. Like when we were making these screenshots, we wanted to sort of like also we wanted to recreate these specific moments from those trailers to sort of to show how close they kind of are.
Yeah.
to those trailers.
I think it was sort of an iconic. I mean, it's not really like an iconic moment, but I think that like a lot of people remember this part
Yeah.
of the trailer. I guess.
If you're watching the trailers, you'll definitely remember that specific moment.
Okay, let's go crazy and go to the one that I labeled number 3.
Oh man,
All right.
you seem to have figured out Tony's complex
Naming.
cryptography.
Yeah, exactly. So this is obviously a lava level. I think this is the one that's in the basement. But kind of similar here. Your different HUD. Is there anything that you can tell us about this?
All right, so this screenshot is from it's the early version of Lethal Lava Land, also known as Fire Bubble in the demo. And yeah, I mean, you just see Mario running through the I guess there's not anything too special about the photo other than it's just a recreation of Fire Bubble.
Perfect. That's good enough. Let's bounce around here real quick because there's one that I wanted to talk about in particular here. Okay, so here's
Sure thing. We going to number 4?
Oh, I'm going crazy here.
All right.
Losing my mind.
And everybody watching this video is like, why do you tease me with these images, Tony?
So, okay, here we go. Make a little adjustment here. Okay, so we're going on to number 8 here. So
number 8, okay.
In the lava level, he just gets a star. I love the color here. But tell us a little bit about that. I know it was in the trailer, but because it's like that old VHS footage, like it isn't vibrant. But then when you guys do it, it's like it looks really nice and pastel and
they seem to use a lot of pastel colors. It kind of look like for this aesthetic, it kind of looks really cool.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to implement that into the into this project as well. Mm-hmm. And if you notice, you can see that the star is a 2D sprite.
Yep.
And I'm assuming they did that because it was just easier to do that at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But they were eventually able to get like a 3D star. But I mean, at the time, it looked pretty nice.
Yeah. And
like anyone's really gonna know the difference because the TVs were not as sharp.
And a lot of the 2D stuff on the N64 holds up a lot better than the 3D stuff anyways.
Yeah.
Although Mario 64 has always been, unlike the Zelda titles that try to cram a lot in, Mario's always been simpler and cleaner aesthetic. So I think it holds up well regardless. But I just, it's weird because I was thinking earlier, I was talking to you about this, Richie, where it was like, I almost felt that a lot of the color scheme in this earlier content was more reminiscent of how they would color an SNES Mario game. And then it's just like sort of vibrant and pretty and like pastel and whatever, right? You think like Mario World too. But then I think like they almost kind of like went through it and was like, no, this is 3D.
Right.
Like, change
gotta look
this.
realistic.
Yeah, like let's have a really realistic, gritty Mario, game.
You got to make sure that the power stars look realistic. Otherwise, you just lose the audience.
You lose the audience. Richard, would you mind diving into the comments, see if there's anything here? Either a candidate for the Log Jammers, and for those of you that are just tuning in, we are doing a Log Jammers Steam key giveaway.
Well, Mike G is on the nose here. Mr. Ponytail back there def jammed a couple logs in his past.
Ooh.
Well, I can't confirm or deny that, but
Is that a candidate for a...
It might be a candidate. I'm just happy because we were waiting for somebody to take the low-hanging fruit with the log jammers.
Which, what was the screen name on that?
Mike G.
Mike G. So anyways, we were doing a...
there should have been a Sonic game for Saturn, but Sonic R and Sonic Jam.
That's true. Unrelated, but yes. So,
I think there was a little bit of a chat conversation
going
on about that.
Well, good. Chat amongst yourselves. Just to remind everybody, because I was got interrupted myself there, we're doing a Log Jammers by Megacat Studio. If you remember our Coffee Crisis review, this is the same studio. It's basically Windjammers with logs, fast-paced. There's an NES version and a Steam version. They're doing a Kickstarter right now to get funding for the console versions, and we're giving away 3 keys. So best comments... will be that, and we're not going to allow any. We love super chats. We love them. Give them to us. Oh, thank you. But those will not be affecting our decision in terms of.
Again, I clarify they won't be affecting Tony's decision.
Them super chats.
Victor Hale asks, if it turned out that stages encoding from the DS version were cut content, would you use them, or would you reimagine them as new stages with cut content?
So basically, like what we're doing here for this, like for this particular project, is we're remaking what was only on that Shoshinkai demo.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's just
Because if we were to like basically like if we were to try to recreate every single thing that was in every single like beta build, like I think it would be a lot more difficult to do because it's like there's a lot of clips where it's like you see stages where it's like you don't like know what's like what else is in it, right? Because it's like you see like a shot of one particular area, but it's like there's no other footage of that area, so you don't really know what it looks like.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't even know where to make it fit. So.
Yeah, because I mean, you kind of get to the point where you almost try to do too much. You already have a large project on your hands, and it's like you don't want to kill yourself by just doing all of this stuff. That said, I do remember so for example, like those like much skinnier penguins, right?
Yeah, they look pretty different.
Yeah, definitely. They're one of the more shocking, shocking aspects of it.
They also look like they look like they hate their lives.
Yeah, they do, and they probably because Mario keeps murdering their children. Obviously,
that's a really fair point.
That is a fair point.
I think Nintendo might have oversimplified the game and cut out some, moral themes. Really,
that's right. Just off the mountain. So I guess what I was going to say was around that time in Nintendo Power and other publications, they were showcasing screenshots from that trailer and from that era, like the penguins and such. But I don't know, just because I haven't done the research myself, if there is other content that maybe they showed screenshots of that they didn't show in the trailer. If those did exist and you could confirm they are from the same era, would you consider utilizing them as reference or just the trailer?
Yeah, sure. I mean, if it's from that exact build, like, sure, I'll use it. So, actually, speaking of, there was this one particular video that was on YouTube that was a really big help, and it wasn't from Nintendo or like from any like news like people. It was actually from somebody or with the username Game Zero, and they recorded like really long footage of just people playing the demo.
Okay.
And that's been a really big help because we've seen a lot of things that weren't really in the trailers or weren't shown like as much.
Okay.
Like for example, a lot of this like information or not information, but like the majority of how we know like how the snow level looks came from that particular video because he recorded footage of people playing that level.
That's all. It was just
so it was a really big help
with Ocarina of Time earlier. Like we're just so thirsty for just like the little snippet of VHS, on like a CRT. Actually, do me a favor. On Discord later, send me a link to that video. I'm not sure if I've seen that. I know I've seen the trailer quite a bit, but I can't recall if I've seen that or not. I might have. What's that?
Look it up now if you want.
Oh, sure.
I want to bring up this point that is pretty cool trivia that I was not aware of, courtesy of Nick Infante, where he is saying that before Charles Martinet was chosen to voice Mario, they used archival recordings of Mel Blanc to do Mario noises. So I don't know if that's true or...
True or
yeah,
false?
it is.
It is true.
Wow.
Yeah, not all of the voices are from Mel Blanc, but some of them are. Like, and you can kind of tell just kind of by how it sounds.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, Mel Blanc was pretty distinctive.
Oh, big
yeah,
news,
like you can recognize... Yeah, you can recognize when it's Mel Blanc.
Very good news for everybody. Melon Speedrun says, I'm satisfied with the answer that you gave.
For the question that you were asked like a half
the question
hour
that
ago.
he asked. Yeah.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, that's good for me, too, because I didn't know if that was satisfying.
It's always good stuff.
Somebody asked for a shirt to be removed.
Game Over Jesse asked for you to remove your coat.
I can't do that. I can jack it off though. I can.
Yeah, take it. Jack it off. Go ahead, take the jacket off.
I'll jack it off.
Yeah.
I don't have a camera, so I'm good. I mean, I could do it, but then no one will see it. So
yeah.
Fair loss.
Let's see here. Okay, so I guess the real question here's the real meat and potatoes of the interview here is that Richie noticed there were like 3 different versions of the health meter.
Yep.
Which one are you going to choose? And then it kind of creates this Pandora's box of like probably they were all slightly different builds. I mean, just ever so slightly, just hodgepodged into one just so haphazardly because they're like, I don't know, whatever. Which one are you going to use? Do you know yet?
Yeah, we're going to be using the one that was in the demo, which was the one with the arrow.
Okay.
I believe.
The one that kind of spins like a clock?
Yes, we're going to
Okay.
be using that one.
That one is probably the most dynamic. You know.
That one, yeah, and it's also the most like recognizable one too.
Okay.
Like you'll see that health icon, it's like, oh yeah, that's the beta
Yeah.
health meter from Mario 64.
And then I'm a sucker for music, and we just got a question in here from Glitchtastic Games. Will you guys be recreating the music? I think there's some differences in the beta.
Yes. Well, let me answer that in a more specific way. Like, yes, in a sense that I mean the music is mostly the same thing, but there's like some slight little differences. Like I think the drums sound a little different.
Okay.
So I might be replacing some of the samples, like the percussion samples, a little bit, so it kind of sounds like closer to that. And the more particularly the Bob Bomb's Battlefield music, like sounded just a tiny bit faster.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to increase the tempo on that. But other than that, there's not going to be too much music replacements because there's not really much of a need to do that.
Just out of
Because it just kind of sounds the same.
just out of curiosity, have you listened to the N64 DD Mario 64 music?
Music? Yes, I have.
So it has.
I know that the castle music sounds a little different because of
Yeah.
the strings.
Yeah, it's you know honestly,
Sounds a little weird.
It's mostly just it has a more dynamic range. So it's like if you look at the levels in Mario 64, they're kind of like if this is the left and right or vice versa, they're kind of like this. And in the DD version, they're bouncing around more. So like it has better stereo separation, which is kind of neat. Some people prefer the original. Some people prefer that. It's literally just a I think the way it was explained to me by I think it was Luigi Claude was that it was just a different version of their like sound software. And that like, literally was it.
And I mean, you hear that a lot, like, over the course of a lot of the lifespans of the systems that had synthesizer bases for their sound chip. Like, the early Nintendo music doesn't sound exactly like the stuff later on just because they programmed the synths a little bit differently, you know?
Yeah. So let's actually go ahead and jump over to image number 9. Looks to be before he
Number
goes
9.
on to the slide here. You got the start. You have the different HUD, and of course you sort of have
It's
this.
definitely a different track.
Yeah, like even if it is the same track, it's like a different looking beginning.
Yeah, it's Bob Bob's Battlefield song, I believe, that they used.
What can you tell us about this image here?
All right, so about this particular slide, like we all know that this slide was eventually used for Tall Tall Mountain. But in the Shoshinkai demo, and I'm assuming the rest of the beta builds, like this was the slide for Cool Cool Mountain, or I guess just Snowland or whatever it was called. But it was actually a little different because I believe in the beta version there was no like fake out or like it wasn't trying to trick you to like falling to your death or whatever. Like it just it was just like straightforward. It was like, you know, you slide through it, you have fun. That's really the biggest difference I could like get from this. Otherwise, aesthetically, it kind of looks the same.
Okay.
That's
Still
pretty much all I
just,
can say
just
about that
neat
slide.
little adjustments here.
Right.
Yeah, but it's like when you're looking at these screenshots, you can definitely like feel like a different like aura. Like it's like, oh, this doesn't feel like the final game. This feels like an earlier build.
Yeah,
Right.
definitely.
Even though it is a ROM hack, like you still feel that it's like earlier.
For
An
sure.
earlier build of it.
So what are some of your goals in terms of? Are you hoping to eventually make this public? Do you have?
Yes.
Okay, well there you go. Do you have? I know this is always the tough one that I'm going to ask you here, but you know, and it's never going to be what you initially say. So obviously, don't quote him on this. But what is your goal in terms of an ETA for a playable demo, even if it isn't complete yet?
All right. Well, actually, this is probably the easiest one I can answer.
Oh, well that's good.
One goal is actually finishing it.
Well, yeah, but when?
Because and no offense to anyone else that tried doing this, but most of the time when they did it, they never really finished it.
Yeah,
per se. Or they just kind of got.
Yeah, it's a hard
They
thing
either
to
got
do.
bored of it, or
you know.
yeah, they either got bored of it, or you know, real life kicked in and they couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, definitely one of my goals is actually like finishing the project and releasing it publicly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because you know, like every other attempt we've seen, like they do something, but they don't finish it, and it's a shame, really. It is.
Yeah.
But
So
yeah.
what would your estimation be? Do you think like a year? Do you think 2 years? Do you think 6 months? Like what is
estimation?
your in terms of like an estimated time of arrival, like an ETA?
My safe bet would maybe be by like a year,
Okay.
maybe even earlier. Who knows? Depending on, because it's not a whole lot. It's just, you know, it's mostly the same, but just very aesthetically different.
Yeah, because I've been talking back and forth originally with Mario
And
Nova.
functionality too, actually.
And when I was talking to Mario Nova, I was like, so do you have a playable demo? No. Do you have a playable demo? No. Do you have a playable demo? No. And I'm like, this looks great. I want to talk about it in some capacity. Like, can I just kind of show the screenshots, like during a podcast or something? And he's like, oh, yeah, sure. So I think that's, and again, don't quote him, for the audience here. Don't quote Pablo on that release date. It's not a hard release date because stuff happens.
It's not a hard date. It's like
this is just a goal.
We may
it's
have
not
it
a hard
done.
for games date.
It's not a hard for games date. Yes.
Now this question has come up a couple times now from a few different fans. Do you worry about cease and desists from Nintendo?
Do I worry about cease and desist? Honestly, no, I don't. Mainly because we've been kind of keeping this project under wraps.
Uh-huh.
Like, we haven't really talked about it that much.
Right.
I mean, this is really the only one time that I've actually, publicly, just, talked about it, and, now you guys all know about it.
Yeah.
But as long as we're not, flaunting it and flashing, hey, everyone, look at this thing we're doing, it's like, I don't think we're going to get cease and desist.
Yeah, it's we have a good record of our projects that we've covered not getting cease and desist. So
Yeah.
We have a history of them crumbling apart.
yeah, that's true. But
Things could change.
yeah, exactly. But it's one of those things that our channel is big enough to have a following to get people interested, but not so ginormous that it's suddenly it's on the front page of the newspaper. You know what I mean? No, here's two questions that I did want to ask you here.
Sure thing.
Now, I think Mario Nova mentioned that this would be the case, but one question was, will it keep the physics of...
Yes.
Because this comment mentioned that it seemed a little more slippery. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but what can you say that's different regarding the physics and the way that Mario moves in the demo version?
Yeah, we actually plan on recreating the physics that was in this game.
Okay.
For example, I believe Mario's side jump flip or whatever was a lot shorter. Although, according to some people that tried it out, they didn't seem to like that much. So I don't know. We're actually going to keep that in.
Okay.
Maybe we'll balance it out between the final and the beta.
Okay.
Another couple of differences is Mario's momentum when he's running. Sometimes when you're running a bit and you let go of the control stick, he'll just immediately stop in the beta version.
Okay.
But in the final, he'll slow down like how he should.
Yeah. Right.
And another thing I've noticed is when you jump and ground pound, Mario doesn't stop. He doesn't freeze in midair. He sort of just goes down.
Okay.
When you ground pound, he just goes down immediately. So when you tongue tied, but when you guys were putting when you guys put up the video earlier of the beta footage, the actual beta footage, in the end you saw that when Mario was doing the ground pound, he was still going down. He wasn't he didn't freeze in midair.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that we're implementing in the game.
They probably added that so they have a couple frames of okay, that's what he's doing,
Yeah,
but it just wasn't quite there yet. Another question that I thought was interesting will it have, because it seems like in at least a lot of the early screenshots, and it could also be somewhat due to the fact that a lot of this is older footage uploaded to YouTube in 240p, but will it have that classic Turok fog everywhere? Because a lot of the early footage has a thick layer of fog because they hadn't really optimized it yet.
I'm not even sure if the Shoshinkai demo had fog, but if it did, we'll add it. Yeah.
Okay.
The game can already handle fog in the final version, so it wouldn't be too difficult to put in. But that's if the beta had it. If not, then
Right. Yeah. Double check that fog. I want to only be able to see a foot in front of my face.
Yeah.
Here's a question. Can we donate to this project? Do you guys have a Patreon or anything like that?
No, we don't have a Patreon. I think at one point we discussed about money. But I don't think we've actually ever decided to have people donate to us. I guess if people really want to support us, I guess I could open up a coffee page or something.
Okay.
I don't know. I guess that's something I'll talk about with the rest of the team because we never really discussed about that.
Sure. Yeah.
Because we were just sort of doing this out of our own free time and interests of the beta.
Sometimes that's good. Sometimes it's nice to have funding. Sometimes things get complicated when there's funding. So it really depends on how you guys manage it. But I thought it was an interesting question. Because if you did have a donation page, maybe this person would like to throw you a buck or something.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, so what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, so I was going to mention to everybody as well that I put your Twitter handle in the description. So I noticed that you have a lot of this sort of content on Twitter in terms of like ROM hacks and mods and that kind of stuff. So that's a great source for everybody that's listening right now, both to learn about some other content as well, but also kind of keep track of this one.
Oh yeah.
And
I'm sorry. Yeah, this definitely is a project that I'm working on. Like, there's a whole bunch of others. Like, I guess one of the more notable other projects that I'm doing is a port, I guess you could say, of Super Mario Sunshine in Super Mario 64, and we're collaborating with the user Keiza Manuar, who made Super Mario 64 Last Impact. He's helping us out, like, with the programming and all this other cool stuff. Like, I'm really excited to see that progressing further.
Right on.
There's a comment from Game Over Jesse, who I've collaborated with in the past. You guys should definitely go check out his channel. He does a lot of like gaming news, but a lot of like Zelda content specifically. I know that a lot of our fans are super into Zelda, so this would be a really good cousin show to check out. All those fan theories and that kind of stuff. He says, if we can see the platform we need to jump to, there's not enough fog. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, Mario 64 from memory.
So I wanted to also shout out the other members of your crew here, but I don't know if I'll be able to pronounce them properly. So
sure, if you want me to help you out, I'll gladly help you.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to mispronounce them, and why don't you pronounce them properly after me? Okay. So I have Mario Nova. Yeah, sure. I have Nenshi. Keiz Emunar?
Keiz Emanuar.
Yeah. And then Pablo's Corner, of course, which is you. So why don't you say all of those in a way that doesn't botch it? And
actually, you kind of pronounced them kind of correctly.
Oh, that's...
Except for Keiz, which I already corrected you.
Yes, so there's, of course, Keiz there. Yes.
There you go. There's a couple of other people.
Just can't read. Just can't read. I'm illiterate.
So there's a couple of other people which I'll also kind of like list.
Yeah, go ahead.
So there's Robin. Let me see. Someone in my server called 26.5, and then there's Fan.
Okay.
Fan. And like a new person that just joined the development team. His name is Marshy Volt.
Marshy, I love that. That's cool.
Yeah. Pretty cool guy.
Awesome.
And eventually we may have more people helping us out, but for now that's pretty much who's involved with the project. And I'm pretty proud of these guys because they do an amazing job with what they do.
Awesome. Well, it sounds like you have a really solid and professional team there, and that just makes me really happy that you guys are moving along, and this so far looks really good.
Tony's just like looking at me like, I could work with a real team
instead of Richie. Instead of working with Richie. This guy over here.
And John.
John.
All the terrible Hard for Games crew.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we're going to go ahead and wrap up this segment, and Pablo will let you go because Richie and I got to get to a bunch of other topics here that we have.
Yeah, no problem.
But I wanted to thank
you guys for having me.
Yeah,
thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you so much, and it's so impressive that you're doing all this. You're so damn young, man. You're like 19 years old, and you make me feel so inadequate.
I'm 32, and I can only barely operate a computer.
Yeah,
so.
I feel like I feel like you're better than us in every way. For starters, and no, but seriously, congratulations on the progress so far. We're really looking forward to being able to actually play this thing, and once again, for everybody, please check out his Twitter, which is linked in the description below. It's Pablo's Corner, or just type in Pablo's Corner, and you should be able to find it. There's a lot of good stuff there. A lot of good modding trinkets, if you will, and things. So
a lot of cool ROM hacks and mods and all that stuff. By the way, may I say one last thing?
Of course. I was just going to say, if you wanted to say one last thing, you go crazy.
All right. All I just want to say is shout outs to Team Cornersoft. That's my ROM hacking group.
There you go.
Gotta put it out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
You guys want to know what that is? Just look it up on Google.
Any other thing that you want to say before we let you go?
No, that's pretty much all I wanted to say. But thank you guys for having me here, and if you guys ever want me back, I'm a DM away.
Yeah, definitely, man. Well, we definitely enjoyed talking to you today, and this is actually, for those of you that aren't or that are watching, this is the first time we've actually spoken to Pablo. It's just been over Discord, so it's always nice when you talk to someone and they're like, "Well, this person's personable." This person's got a good podcast, boys. They can carry a good conversation. So it's good. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. So I'll let you go for now. I'm going to go ahead and mute you here, but I just wanted to thank you again for coming on.
Bye,
and
guys.
Have a good one.
enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Take care.